Good morning and welcome to day 3 of our devotional series for this week, The Old Gospel Ship, Finding Favor. I hope you have enjoyed our lessons so far as we continue this journey together. We've been talking a lot this week about obedience and how that is love in action. When it comes to loving God, we do it through obedience to His Word in both response to His Word vocally and also action. At times, being obedient to God looks costly and it looks difficult. Sometimes some of the things that God asks us to do are very adverse to our very nature, and it is very adverse to our lifestyle and the culture that we live in. And if we're not careful, we can get so caught up in what we're giving up to obey God that we miss what we're gaining by obeying God. One of the most overlooked blessings that come from obedience to God is safety. There is safety in being obedient to God. In Noah's case, his family was tucked away safely inside that ark while the world outside was destroyed by God's judgment. They literally floated above the destruction of the world because they were obedient to God. Now, in our day and time, we're not watching the world be destroyed with a flood, but we are watching the world be destroyed through fear. We're watching our friends and our neighbors and the people that we work with be destroyed through depression, their lives be destroyed through anger, and we can float above that when we walk in obedience to God's word. Being righteous brings so many blessings. It brings the peace that passes understanding. It brings a joy unspeakable and full of glory. There are so many benefits to being obedient to God. And today I challenge you, stay focused on those benefits. Don't look so hard at what you're giving up or what you're walking away from in order to serve God. But let's look today at the benefits and be thankful for those. When we are obedient to what God asks us to do, we are spared from many dangers and traps that the enemy of our soul puts in our path. I love this when it says, people who are faithfully obedient to God's instruction do not wander off the straight and narrow road that leads to salvation. I don't know about you, but I've gotten lost before. I've been driving and taken a turn that I wasn't quite sure where I'd end up and felt a little unsure of myself. I got off the main road and took a side road. But when we stay obedient to God, we know that we're heading in the right direction. We don't have to be afraid of, oh no, am I going to end up in heaven? Am I making the wrong decision for my family? Am I going to end up with a job that I shouldn't have had? But if we stay obedient to Him, if we walk in righteousness, He guides our steps. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delights in our way. And that safety is something that you can't take for granted in today's unsure world. Don't lose sight of that. You have a hope that most people don't have because they don't have an assurance that they are in the palm of His hand. But you wake up and you go to bed every night with the assurance that His hand surrounds you, protects you, it stays over your children, it stays over your marriage, as long as you stay in obedience to Him and in His righteousness. While we are not even aware of the dangers lurking in the shadows, our good Father protects us from harm. If you want to keep your soul safe, then obey His commandments. Another aspect of obedience is highlighted by the family of Noah when they joined him in the ark. It doesn't say that God showed up to Shem and Ham and Japheth and their wives and Noah's wife. It doesn't say that He came and visited them as well. They heard through Noah and they helped him. They put their shoulder to the plow with him. Obedience to God's commands must become personal, and that's another fill-in in your book today. There is a corporate aspect to God's instruction that are to be observed by a community. Noah's family entered the ark. The nation of Israel obeyed the law of Moses. The crowd in Acts 2 was baptized after hearing the message of Pentecost. But in addition to the collective observance of God's instructions, the reality is that each of us wants to make the choice. We have to make that choice whether or not we are going to be obedient to God. Noah's wife, Shem, Ham, Japheth, and their wives were all saved from the ark because they each chose to step into the ark. Likewise, if we want to experience the favor of God, we must each choose obedience. At the end of our story, we will all stand before God as individuals. when He opens that book of life, we are responsible for our own obedience and cannot rely on the actions of others. There's also a way to look at this. You can be overwhelmed by that. You can say, oh, I'm no good on my own. I need my pastor. I need my ministry team. I can't do this by myself. I'll never make it. Or you can look at it and say, God, you see me for me, and you know my challenges, and you know my mistakes, and you know the things that I get stuck on, and I believe you made a way of escape for me. I believe you have a plan for me, and I'm going to walk in obedience to you so that I don't have to worry about whether or not I'll make it, but I'll set my life at your feet so that I make sure you hear me when I cry, and that my name is written in that book of life. That is our promise. That is something we can hang on to. The final step of our story, the final walk in our steps of obedience is heaven, and I can't wait to get there. I know you're excited to get there. Let's get there together. Let's each make the decision to be obedient to God and recognize that He is with us, He is for us, and He will make a way for us to be saved. I hope this has been a blessing to you today, and I will see you again tomorrow.